Welcome back to another edition of Unconformed, where we talk about really what's going on throughout the week. I know that the match day is not over, but I had to make one on my team, Liverpool. They performed excellent today. I think there's going to be a lot of videos that come out that talk about how dominant Liverpool were, and I think they were very dominant. I was actually watching Lawrence McKenna's analysis of the game, and he made a really good point, is that there's something that's happening in this Liverpool team that maybe is not being said and maybe isn't being pointed out very much. There's been a change in tactics in really the way that Jurgen Klopp has been playing. It's still that high intensity brand of football, where we press and press and press as soon as we lose the ball. But the intelligence from the players can't go understated now. I feel like the players they understand their roles so much better than they did last season. And they're willing, right? I think one of the big things from last season was that we had a lot of players that knew what they were supposed to do, but weren't necessarily willing to do the things that they needed to do in the team in order for it to be successful. I think with the emergence of Connor Bradley, we've seen almost a shift in formation with Jurgen Klopp. And with Salah being out, it's almost given the team a lot of positional freedom. It's given the team a lot of, I guess, responsibility in order to make this season the best season that Klopp could ever end on, right? And if you look at the way that the formation was set up today, Connor Bradley is almost being deployed as like an extremely advanced wingback, right? I mean, if you probably take a look at his heat map, if you can find it anywhere on Twitter or online or anything like that, he spent a lot of his time hugging that touchline in advanced positions, not so much of a right back or a defensive right back. And at times, Liverpool almost played in a back three, right? With Gomez, with Van Dijk and Konate playing that hybrid right center back, right back role. And the passing from Konate and the control from Konate was absolutely amazing. We'll talk about him in a second. But I think he makes this formation works. And it almost looks like, which Lawrence made a really good point, it almost looks like Xabi Alonso's Leverkusen. Does it not? Right? With those three very mobile, very capable, on the ball, ready center backs in the back that can play across the entire back line, that marauding right winger, wing back, and Connor Bradley, and Darwin Núñez and Diaz and Jota almost like interchanging. Well, actually, it's more of Darwin kind of just switching from flank to the middle, from the right flank to the left flank. And they kind of swap places a lot of times. And they're playing tighter inside versus hugging the touchline so much. You could almost make a suggestion that they're like inside forwards or advanced number 10s that they play at sometimes. And then they take turns being who's going to be the striker this time around, which we've never seen before and under Jurgen Klopp. The swapping and changing the positions in the attacking third. Maybe we've seen that a little bit in the midfield and in the defense in his time, but things have been, Lawrence made a really good point that things have been so structured in Liverpool. It's kind of refreshing to see not Salah hugging that right-hand side and cutting in, checking in on his left foot, and not Sadio Mane doing the same thing, but doing it on his right foot, and Roberto Firmino dropping back and pressing, and having such a rigid system that we're trying to kind of shoehorn players into this style of play that fit a previous set of players, but not so much this set of players, right? And I think Klopp is finally starting to figure out, how can I utilize the personnel that I have to their best abilities? It turns out that Darwin Núñez is actually a really great winger, as well as a really good forward. It turns out that Luis Diaz can not only play on the left side, but also play on the right side. And he doesn't need to check back in on his right foot. He can take people to the touchline. And it turns out that Diogo Jota can do anything, right? It turns out that Diogo Jota is an assassin. He just shows up anywhere and just buries goals. So it makes Klopp's job a lot easier with this personnel that he has right now. And I mentioned it before, with Salah being gone, it almost has given this front line more freedom to kind of be creative. And no, I'm not saying, we need to get rid of Salah or anything like that. But obviously you can see that there is a future without Mohamed Salah in it. And they're still playing very high level football. Somebody mentioned, well, can they do this style of play against Arsenal? Can they do this style of play against Tottenham? Can they get results against some of these teams that are a lot more regimented and more organized? Can they do it against Manchester City? And my answer is they've already done it against those sides, right? They've already proven that this system in its very early stages can either beat those sides or go toe-to-toe with those sides. Because none of those teams that I mentioned, Tottenham, well, they did get that weird decision and there was a whole VAR thing. Arsenal and Manchester City, none of them have really gotten results off of this Liverpool side. And now this side is starting to click. Now it's starting to gel. Now Dom knows where he needs to be. Now Darwin knows where he needs to be. All these newer players that are coming in, you can even see McAllister growing into that 6 role where we thought that's not a good position for him, but it's almost not like a 6 role the way that Jurgen is playing it. It's almost like a double pivot, right? Where Jones is dropping in deep and helping McAllister out. And then when Trent's playing, he's coming and sitting beside McAllister, which allows him to go forward and be creative and do what he does best, which is wriggle out of tight spaces and make really awesome passes, right? So Klopp has found a way to work his methods with the personnel that he has, which is what you're supposed to do as a manager, right? At the highest level. But today, it looked a lot like a Xabi Alonso team out there, weirdly. Very high intensity, a lot of pressing, slick, fluid play. Could Jurgen Klopp be getting this team ready to transition over to the next manager? It could be. But it also could be another layer that a lot of players are putting everything into these games and playing their best football because they know this is the last dance, right? Kind of like a Michael Jordan type of thing where, that Bulls team that they knew this was MJ's last season, so they gave it their all. They played the best basketball of their lives, and it was one of the greatest runs that in sports history, right? Could it be that coming into effect? And I know a lot of people were thinking that, like, okay, this is bad timing for Klopp to make this announcement. I'm thinking, no, this is great timing. Klopp should make this announcement at this time where in this stretch of 2 weeks or so, where you got 4 or 5 very important games, it raises the stakes for these games. It lowers the margin of error. It makes these games more important, even more important than they are, because these players know that this is going to be the last chance that they get to win trophies with this manager and for this manager. And it's obviously, you can see the reaction in the players. They're playing even better than when they were playing before the announcement, right? And they've been playing amazing this season. So it has to give you a lot of confidence that now, because I've said this a bunch of times before, Liverpool are bad until they aren't. And now Liverpool are playing in a way where they just aren't, right? Straight from the beginning, they just aren't. And that does not spell good news for the rest of the league, because now it's not that lag. You don't get that 45-minute leeway where you can grab goals and things like that before they kick it into high gear. These last handful of games, Liverpool have been at these teams' necks from the start of the whistle. And you can't say, we'll see what they do against Arsenal. They handled Arsenal in the League Cup with a weak side. No Mohamed Salah, no Trent, no Robbo. They handled that team, who was at full strength. We have to keep that in mind. So what's not being said here at Liverpool? Klopp may be walking away from one of the most special teams that he's built in a long time. It's hard for me to think and to imagine that if we do what I think we're going to do this season, of him really wanting to walk away 100% like this. If he does, he has a massive respect to him. Because if this team pulls off what I think they're going to pull off, which is winning 4 trophies in one season, which almost no team ever does. No English team has ever done in any competition. I don't care, Champions League, Europa League, it doesn't matter. No English team has ever done a quadruple at any level. And it looks like Liverpool is in a position to be able to do that this season. Do you walk away from something that good? Or, they say, you stay the hero long enough until you become the villain, right? But I feel like Klopp already kind of went through that villain arc last year, where there were some people saying Klopp out, which is crazy, right? Is he past that to where he can kind of ascend into that legendary status that Sir Alex is in and give this another 5 years and give this another 3 years, 4 years to see how many more he can win? Or do you pass off this amazing squad that he's building to the next manager to kind of, take it to the next level? And what does that next manager do? Does he tear it down and start from scratch? Does he use what Klopp has given him and kind of build off of that? Those are questions that you kind of have to ask. So as for the player ratings, we're going to blast through this. Those are just some things that I had on my mind that I was talking about, that I was thinking about. And I was just like, these are questions I think we have to ask ourselves going into this next phase. Connor Bradley. Who is this kid? Right? Who do you pick in these next handful of games? Do you go with Trent Alexander-Arnold, the right back, the quintessential right back? Or do you go with this new kid, Connor Bradley, who has essentially been the man of the match every match that he's played? 1 goal and 2 assists to get today against a Chelsea side who is not performing very well, but they're still an elite team who spent $1 billion on players. And he played them off the pitch. But then Trent comes on, and Trent is still Trent. He played a few really classy passes into the channels that were really unlucky to not get finished, honestly. And you forget that he's that good. Does Connor Bradley push him into midfield? And if he pushes him into midfield, who comes out of that midfield? McAllister? Curtis Jones? Szoboszlai? I don't think so. And this is a really good problem for Jurgen Klopp to have. And he's never had this problem before at right back or at left back with Joe Gomez stepping in for Andy Robertson. Joe Gomez has been excellent. Connor Bradley has been excellent. Do you drop those guys? I think the answer is no, and I think Klopp has already answered that question by starting them in this crucial game, right? McAllister, we talked about him before. I think he saw those Endo performances and he was like, nah, I got to keep my spot in this team. He dominated Enzo and Caicedo in the midfield. They were non-existent. And you could see Caicedo was visibly frustrated. He almost looked like he was about to cry. Seriously. But the way that he gets the ball and he moves his body and he knows space and he knows where his teammates are at all times. There was this one play where the ball was fed into him and he hit a one-time pass with his weak foot over into the left channel. And I think it was Jones who was going to receive. I think Jones didn't even know what was coming. Most of us didn't even know what was coming. But it was beautifully hit. That's the type of performances I like to see from Macca. It's very Thiago-esque. I said that last week. I'll say it again. If he keeps doing this, we might not need a Thiago replacement. We could just let Thiago go, right? And let him do his thing. But hopefully Thiago does get back 100% fit and his hip is fine. I'd love to see him play football again. He is the prettiest football player that I've probably have ever seen. The way he is able to manipulate the ball is absolutely insane. Dom is back. Dominic Szoboszlai got himself a goal. I was really excited for him to hit his stride, and he is hitting his stride because I've seen the way that he played at Red Bull, and I think we're going to come into an era where he can start vouching to be one of the best attacking midfielders in the league. If you don't believe me, come check back on this video in about 2 months and we'll talk again. But Dom is him. Trust me, okay? Diogo Jota, he chipped in, got him a goal. Same thing with Diaz. They were great on either of those flanks. I talked about the interchanging play and how fluid they were. They need to keep doing that. And I love the way that they do that now that Salah is out of the picture for now. And I'll be interested to see how they continue to do that when Salah comes back in. Cody Gakpo is electric off the bench like he always is. It almost looks like he has a chip on his shoulder lately, which I think that's really, really kind of funny. Curtis Jones had Cole Palmer in the back of his pocket. Cole Palmer didn't do anything. He was almost making him look foolish at sometimes with some of those the ball control. Kanate was excellent. Joe Gomez was excellent. Allison didn't really have much to do. But what can you say about Klopp? What can you say about this man? The tactics are on point. Everything is clicking. Today was a world-class performance from Liverpool. They ran Chelsea out of the building, and it was really not a competition. And I heard someone say it was men against boys today. And that's really what it looked like. So let me know what you guys think. Who am I missing out on? What are we not talking about that needs to be talked? And who should come and take over this amazing, young, ambitious, and hungry Liverpool squad? You'd have to think, after managers see what this squad is capable of, that they'd be knocking down the door for this position, right? So let me know what you guys think. We'll see you next time. Peace.